Oil. It's in virtually everything we use, and it fuels everything we do. Some can't live with it, but one thing is for sure. None of us can live without it. New Mexico newsman turned filmmaker Mathis produced Spoiled, a documentary that seeks to expose the deceptions surrounding the oil industry. Good morning.
Good morning, Nikki. How are you?
It's great to have you here. This is such an important film, and I'm so glad we have an opportunity to bring the awareness of it to the public. Basically, the oil and natural gas industry has had a tremendous economic impact on our state, and in fact, I want to mention that last year the industry paid more than $2 billion into the state's coffers, which averages out to about $6 million a day. That's a true statistic, and it's shocking to me. The industry is also one of the state's largest employers, and we're told that technological advances allow for responsible development of these natural resources. So why do you think that the industry is so vilified?
Well, you know, I think it's human nature. We have things that we come to expect. Our homes, our lives that we've never had to do without.
Right.
And so when you become spoiled like that, you become dependent upon this stuff and not recognize it. So it's easy to then attack those things that you then take for granted. Another piece is misinformation, disinformation. One of the things that we attack in the film is this idea of addiction. Addictions destroy your life. So I ask people, is oil destroying your life? Oil is the fuel in your car. It's in your car. It's the road. It's in this couch. It's in the outfit you're wearing.
It's in our makeup. It's in everything. It's
in everything. So is that a proper word? And so what we do is we flip that and we say we're not addicted, but we are spoiled. So
interesting. What a play on words. Spoiled. I love it. And I want to ask you first, what compelled you to start this dialogue in the first place?
Well, as you mentioned, I spent about 10 years in the news business, and then I became a consultant. And along the way, one of my clients was an oil and gas group. And once I started learning about the industry and learning about oil, I was amazed at how ignorant I was.
I think most of us are.
Right. So seeing that, I was blown away. I was like, wait a minute, why do I have a negative opinion about this resource that is so critically important to my life? And so we started getting into it and learning more and doing more, and then it struck me that I had to do a film that would explain, look, this is what's real and true about our relationship to oil.
Right, and then keeps people less ignorant about the subject. And Spoiled is actually going to be screened tomorrow and Wednesday at Century Rio. So what I want to do is let's watch the trailer so people can get an idea of what we're talking about, and then we'll talk about it after. So take a look.
If we can't have an open and honest discussion about energy, the single most important business in the world, then what can we have an honest discussion about?
When you're gassing up, you're watching your dollar spend on there, and it makes you mad. And it makes everybody mad.
We must end the age of oil in our time.
Oil makes us sick. It's global warming.
Oil is a sign of our sin.
America is addicted to oil.
Oil boy's making more money than anyone in history ever.
There's already war, and there's more war to come.
As some people think, our really big problem is greenhouse gas emissions.
We can't simply drill our way out of the problem.
Do they lie, or do they believe in their own wishful thinking? Either way is not very pretty.
If you really think that the use of energy is an addiction, then is it any surprise that we have the foolish policies we do, or that many Americans come not to trust the energy industry?
And it won't take a big event to push us over the edge because we have no cushion left.
Makes absolutely no sense. No country in the world would do what we're doing.
The government has done nothing to prepare for this problem.
We can't drill off the East Coast. We can't drill off the West Coast. We can't drill off the West Coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Why is that?
China's laughing at us right now.
Prices for gasoline of $12 to $15 a gallon are entirely reasonable.
We might have to declare bankruptcy.
It'd be like California.
Oh, Lord, help us.
Why we can't just drill here and get it?
I'm right there with you. Do it right here. Bam!
We are telling OPEC and foreign countries, drill there, but we won't drill here.
The government has deliberately led to these policies, and the blood will be on their hands.
You should be very concerned.
So interesting. And I heard the comment, no country in the world is doing what we're doing or would do what we're doing. But what about states? Let's talk about New Mexico real quickly.
Well, New Mexico is featured very prominently in this film.
Yes.
Because New Mexico leaders have had more power over national energy policy than leaders from any other state.
Really?
And in my opinion, in our film, we're pretty hard on New Mexico leaders. They haven't done a good job. They've created the situation that we're in, which is dangerous. This deception that we've had, this ignorance, is leading us toward a situation where we're not going to have enough fuel to run our society. The consequences of that will be extreme.
Well, what are some of the biggest deceptions that you discovered when you were making the film?
Well, the first one was that that we're addicted. So we're not addicted. We're just simply spoiled.
We're dependent, aren't we?
We're extremely dependent, and as I said, we're spoiled. We take for granted all of the things that oil does for us.
Sure, and there's a lot of distortions about the oil industry as well. What did you find?
Well, one of the biggest ones is this mantra, record profits.
Okay,
and it's the way that the industry itself is demonized because people get upset. It's like we're hurting, we're paying more at the pump, but these oil companies are making so much money. Well, when you get into the numbers and figure it out, you see that the oil companies actually make about the national average in profits, which is about 8%, because their overhead's so high. So what I tell people is, look, if you don't like companies making large amounts of money, don't start at the top at least. So that means you're going to have to be unhappy with Facebook and Google and Apple, and these people have double-digit, 20% profit margins. The industry has about an 8% profit
I mean, when I think about this movie, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on with all of us. A lot of us are hypocrites. And I mean, I think that when we watch a film like this, there's a hope that we want to take away from it, and there's a solution we want as well. So what would you want for both? What kind of solution would you be looking for, and what's the hope that you want the audience to take?
Well, the first thing is, let's have a rational and reasonable idea about what oil is in our lives. Understand that we are dependent. It does run the modern world. This is not an evil product. This is something that is essential to our daily lives. But also understand that the modern world runs on this. Transportation is the biggest piece of the modern world. 98% of all movement, so that's ships, planes, cars, trains, is oil-based.
98%?
98%.
Wow.
If we don't have enough oil to run our transportation system, the consequences, as I said, will be extreme.
Detrimental.
It is so incredibly important to our society and how it's run. We need to make sure that we have enough oil to run the system while we try to figure out how to run our world on less oil.
Great lesson for us to learn, and I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this film. Tell our viewers about the screening and how they can take part in seeing it.
The screening is tomorrow night and Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, Century Rio. And if you want to learn more about the film, you can go to spoiledthemovie.com.
Spoiledthemovie.com. Perfect. Mark, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for
Nikki.
bringing this awareness. So important. And still ahead, personal trainer Karin Van Olst gets us ready for the slopes.